Felix, thanks for sending me that. I would have never figured it out. Right. Balanced budget multiplier is what we did today in class. So if you increase both government spending and taxes by 400, AD will increase by 400 because the government spending multiplier is always one bigger than the tax. If you decrease both of them to the same, AD will decrease by 400. All right. That's if you have them the same. Be careful because they're going to have two questions with government spending and taxes. Okay. If they go in the same direction, just do the math like too simple. Like it'd be 400 times 5. Just making up a multiplier. Then it would be 400 times minus 4. All right. Just read it carefully. Now, said when you couldn't hear me, you didn't really need to know crowding out this test, even though the next slide is about crowding out. All crowding out is if you spend government spending, government borrows money, interest rates go up, business investment goes down, it shifts in a little. But you don't need to know crowding out for this test. All right. The shifters of the LRAS, I'd say capital stock, which is machines, factories, equipment, increase or decrease in quantity or quality of resources. Instead of natural resources, I'd say increase or decrease in quantity or quality of resources. Increase or decrease in human resources and technology. All of these will shift capital stock. Will shift LRAS and the production possibilities curve. All lead to a change in economic growth, and economic growth is in the long run. Aggregate demand. Aggregate means altogether. These are all the demand of all the industries in the United States. Okay? Aggregate demand is all goods and services that buyers are willing and able to purchase at different price levels. Okay. There's an inverse relationship between price and real GDP. If price goes up, quantity of output goes down. If price goes down, quantity output goes up. Now, there's 3 big reasons, and they usually test on this, of why aggregate demand is downward sloping. One is the real balance effect, which is also called the wealth effect. The real balance effect and the wealth effect, they're the same. This is about purchasing power. Okay? If the price of a pizza goes up, you're going to buy less pizza. So if the price of the pizza is $5 and I got $100, I could buy 20 pizzas. But if it goes up to $10, I can only buy 10 pizzas. That's the real balance or wealth effect. It's about purchasing power. All right, I'll be 1 second in case people are jotting it down. Okay. Second is the interest rate effect. Now, the interest rate effect is if interest rates go up, just what I kind of said, crowding out. If interest rates go up, investment goes down, aggregate demand shifts left. If interest rates are down, investment goes up. So this is when price level. Let's get this stuff out of the way. When price levels increase, the demand for money increases, driving up interest rates. And businesses don't want to borrow, consumers don't want to borrow, so investment goes down and consumption goes down. So we got the real balance wealth effect, we got the interest rate effect, and then The third one would be foreign exchange, foreign trade effect. And that's if price levels look high in the United States, foreigners are not going to buy our goods. All right. So therefore, net exports will go down. Price levels are low in the United States, foreigners will buy our goods, and net exports would go up. And I don't have this, but if another country's in a recession, it hurts our foreign trade because their people have less money, so they buy less of their country's goods, but they also buy less US goods. So the three things are real balance effect, interest rate effect, and foreign trade effect. And they usually will ask one question on one of those three things. Right. Shifters, consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports. Right. And I'm pretty sure there's like 10 or 11 questions just on the shifters. So, consumption, anything that changes your wealth. So the stock market either does good or bad. Income increases or decreases. Optimism or pessimism. I mean, optimism would shift aggregate demand right. Pessimism would shift aggregate demand left. I don't think you really have to worry about debt, but more debt means you got to pay back your debt and you can't spend money. And then less taxes means I have more money in my pocket, consumption increases. Higher taxes, less money in my pocket, consumption decreases. Remember, if they don't say excise taxes or taxes on business, we're going to say they're taxing consumers. All right. So all these are consumption. Change in investment spending. And by the way, there's a change in consumption, the multiplier effect would take place. If real interest rates go up, investment goes down. People don't want to borrow. Okay. And that's really, for now, all you need to know on investment. Third is government spending. Okay. Just remember, government spending is like buying tanks, buying machines, generals, paying people. All right. Increased spending, AD goes right. Decreased spending, AD goes left. Now, government spending and the taxes for consumption, they're both shifters of aggregate demand and fiscal policy. They all go into the government spending. The effect of World War II, we had to buy more tanks, more machines, more military, AD way right. And then net export, here, major import has a recession. Like I said before, if people in Canada have a recession, they have less money, therefore net exports is going to decrease. You don't need to know exchange rates. So consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports. And, just remember, if AD ships right in the short run, you're going to get increase of price levels and output. Price levels are up, inflation. That's like inflation. AD left, price levels down, output down. All right. All right. Aggregate supply is the amount of goods and services, real GDP, that firms will produce in an economy at different levels. This is, again, everything, say, in the United States that is supplied. And we have two curves. I think we've been pretty good. Short-run aggregate supply, sticky wages. Wages and resources will not increase as price. And the reason for the sticky or fixed resources is contracts. But a lot of times you have a year, 2-year contract. In the long run, wages and resource prices are very flexible. So I'll leave that there for a little in case people still have to jot it down. Okay. Shifters are wrapped. Now, resource prices. Here are the three that I think screwed up guys last year. Oil is a resource. Wages is a resource. Income is consumption. Wages is a resource. Production costs are a resource. Now, anything that helps make the product is a resource, like the cotton in my shirt. But oil, wages, and production costs seem to be used a lot. There's labor, that's wages. Minimum wage increases, SRAS to the left. And here's what you have to ask yourself. Minimum wage increases, if that's the only change, companies make less, they're going to supply less. All right. If price of like computers, if you need them to make, industrial products or something, the price of computers fall. All right, prices fall. My production costs are down. SRAS to the right. And, if I'm importing cotton from another country, if the price falls, then it's cheaper to make shirts. I'll make more money. Okay. For oil, production costs, and minimum wage. Those are the three I'd really focus on. And for whatever reason, when they said wages decrease, people got that wrong. Wages decrease, companies make more money, SRAS to the right. Actions of government. You need to see excise tax or a tax on producers. Otherwise, we're assuming it's on consumers. Subsidies on producers. And then, like if you decrease producer pollution regulation, businesses spend less money on preventing pollution. They make more money, supply right. So that's the R and the A. And the P, activity, is usually technology. All right? What we just did is 11 of the questions. Now, if they say something like minimum wage, or minimum wage, and you're going supply left, and they say, what happens to price and output? Graph it. I know price levels go up and output down, but just do a quick graph so you make sure you get that right. Okay. Demand pull inflation, all that is AD to the right, right? AD goes up, price levels go up. That's demand pull inflation. Okay. You got more jobs, unemployment down, output up, but you have some inflation. If they ask you to draw an inflationary gap, you could start like this. If they say the economy is producing past potential output, you could produce like this. Okay. Or the economy is producing above full employment. Second is cost push inflation or stagflation. I guarantee there's a question on this. So let's make sure we know this. All this is SRAS to the left. And what do you have? You have bad news unemployment. You have bad news inflation. You have stagflation. I want to go back to demand push for a second. We've stopped like talking about this, but if we did not use fiscal policy here, we would say they're producing more, therefore they need more workers. If demand for workers increase, wages go up, SRAS to the left. And the way they would phrase the question would be, without government intervention, how would you get to the long run? There we go, stagflation again. And there is your recessionary gap. Okay. And the actual GDP is below the potential or below full employment. Okay. And here is just AD left, which would be from A to C. This is cyclical unemployment. Now remember, real GDP, income, and employment all go in the same direction. So real GDP is down, income is down. Now, without fiscal policy, at C, I'm making less product. I need less workers. The demand for the workers are down. If demand for workers are down, wages decrease. Wages decrease, that's a resource. Companies make more money, they will supply more, SRAS to the right. Fiscal policy, recessionary gap, you need to pump up the economy, government spending, or lowering taxes. Okay. Here is the classical, all right? And two things about classical is the perfectly inelastic SRAS curve. Remembering that classical think that AD shifts down, price levels go down, they give people an incentive to buy things, so the economy will fix itself. So classical is no government intervention, economy will self-correct. Just giving people 30 or 40 seconds because I realize I've been talking pretty fast. Yeah. Here's Keynes. Now Keynes is a Keene curve where it's perfectly elastic. And Keynes's big thing is if aggregate demand goes down, price levels don't change, and there is no incentive. And he says, because price levels, resources, wages, they're all sticky. Keynes believes that you really need government intervention. So he's about fiscal policy. An increase in AD will result in inflation if the economy is approaching physical capacity. All right. But he believes that government has to use fiscal policy. So increase government spending, decrease taxes. Okay. Remember, when they say fiscal policy, the only two alternatives is government spending and taxes. These are, again, this is just showing if AD goes up, it's only when you fix the economy, that's when inflation occurs. Okay. All right. All right. Fiscal action or monetary, but we're just counting on this unit. It's a discretionary, this is fiscal policy that, and this is what we've been talking about the last couple of days in class mainly, which is government spending and taxes. All right. The problem with it takes a long time. Non-discretionary. These are already, the laws for non-discretionary already passed. That's why they're called automatic stabilizers. And those are welfare, unemployment, the progressive tax system. Okay. I'll leave that there for a minute for people to jot down if they want. Okay. Okay. So when you're in a recessionary, you use expansionary fiscal policy. Right? The goal here is to reduce unemployment and increase GDP. You can do increase government spending, AD to the right, decrease taxes, AD to the right, combination of both, AD way right. All right. I said, does it increase government spending? Yeah, it's a shifter of AD. How does tax reduction, more money in people's pockets, they could consume more, AD the right. So you use expansionary fiscal policy, increasing government spending, decreasing taxes for a recessionary gap. Okay. Fractionary is when you have an inflationary or an expansionary gap. This is when you want to pump the brakes. You want to reduce inflation, decrease GDP. Here, decrease government spending, increase taxes, or both. Okay. How does decrease? AD to the left. If I decrease government spending, AD to the left. As it increase taxes, I have less money in my pocket. I consume less, AD to the left. All right. All right, marginal propensity to consume. Now there's going to be one or two questions on this. All right. So this is change in consumption over the change in income. We did a couple of questions. These are the ones, for whatever reason, we have a hard time. So when they give you the MPC, and they give you like, I think a tip off is when they say like income is 40,000 and then you make 60,000 next year. When they give you two different incomes, it's usually either the marginal propensity to consume equation or the marginal propensity to save. I noticed when I was walking around, a couple of people they were using the money, they were using the spending, GDP equals multiplier times investment. They're giving you two incomes. It could be a tip that it's a question about the marginal propensity to consume. Okay. And then the marginal propensity to save is change in savings over change in income. And same thing, if they gave you two incomes and they said, Mr. Bressel was making 1,000 and now he's making 2,000 and he saved 500, or his marginal propensity to save is 0.5. Well, my difference from 1,000 to 2,000, I changed in income's 1,000, 0.5 savings would be X. So you'd solve, it would be 500. Just remember, MPS plus MPC equals 1. Now the spending multiplier. 1 over MPS or 1 over 1 minus MPC. And I think we've been pretty good at figuring out the spending multiplier, okay? And usually the tip that you need the spending multiplier is they're going to ask you about change in GDP, or there is some sort of change in GDP. And then I think this is a key equation at the bottom. Change in GDP equals multiplier. It can be the tax or the spending times initial change in either spending, tax, investment, any of those. So here, it'd be 4, increase of government spending, 5, that's 20. The second one, a decrease of $3, 4 minus 3, it'd be minus 12. Okay. The tax multiplier, the one I like is 1 minus the spending multiplier. Just seems easy. It also creates that negative number to tell you to decrease taxes or increase taxes. But you could, I think it's, what's the other one? MPC over MPS is fine. So here, the gap is 20 million, right? All right, let me just. So it's like change in GDP equals multiplier times initial. All right. So the gap is 20, 500 minus 480. I want to increase by 20. MPC is 1 over 1.75, which means 1 over 2.5. So the multiplier is 4. And the initial spending would be X. So it'd be 4X equals 20, X equals 5. Now, if they ask me about the tax multiplier, well, that'd be 1 minus 4. The 20 equals minus 3. And that's probably 6 2/3 each. Okay. Then I think we're just going to go the other way here. And it'd be the same thing, but here you would decrease government spending and increase taxes. All right. I'm going to do 3 things here. I'm going to do government spending, taxes, and to get to the long run without any of those. All right. So my gap is 500. It's the change in GDP. The spending multiplier, I want to increase it by 500. Spending multiplier is 1 over 1.8. 1 over 0.2 is 5. That'd be 5. How much I should spend would be X. 5X equals 100. X equals 100. Right. Now, got this because the change in GDP represents the 500 multiplier, which is 5, times the initial government spending, which was X, and that got me 5. Now the tax multiplier is 1 minus the spending. 1 minus 5 is minus 4. I'm going to plug in 500. It's the change in GDP formula. equals -4, the tax multiplier, times X, and that's initial tax. Now I'm going to get X equals -125. I know I need to reduce taxes by 125. And of course, the tax number is going to be greater than government spending because its multiplier is smaller. Now, from over here, there's no government intervention, no monetary or fiscal policy. Then at 500, I'm producing less. I need less workers. The demand for workers decreases, wages decrease, the goods supply to the right. All right. That is the three ways you could go about fixing a recessionary gap. Okay. I'm guessing, I think that could be it. The big drawbacks with fiscal policy is you don't really need it. It's deficit spending. You could get into a debt, and it takes a long time. That is about it. I'll go back and when I was here, why did supply shift right? Is that what you're asking me? As I said, in the long run, without fiscal policy, if no government intervention, you're going to have, you're making less output, you need less worker, demand for workers decrease, wages decrease, that's a resource, SRAS to the right. Yes, with fiscal policy, it would be demand. I said no fiscal policy, no government intervention. With fiscal policy, yes, it would be demand. All right. Anyone else with any questions on what we covered? And I'm sorry for the A in sound. I don't know what I did to get the sound back either.